All right, so we're going to do the difficult midpoint formula given a midpoint and the endpoint. I'm going to write the formula again just so you have it. I'm going to teach you two ways to do this. I'm going to teach you the way I call the algebra way, and I'm going to teach you the way I call the geometry way. I don't think that's the official name of it, but that's what I'm going to call it. So I'm sure you could do some research and find out a different way to do it. Or the name that I do it. So I'm going to first do the algebra way, which is not my preferred way, which should make sense that I prefer the geometry way because, well, I teach geometry. Okay, so I'm going to give you some points. And so basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to do A, M, and B. Okay, so A and B are going to be the endpoints. M is going to be my midpoint. So in this case, I'm going to do A as 2, 4. I'm going to do the midpoint as 8, 2. And I'm looking for this other endpoint. Just to put it in perspective, some people like to look at this and see what I'm actually doing. Let's just say that this is my line. Because these are straight lines always. So we can use things that we've learned in the past about straight lines to help us. So this would be kind of my line. Okay? This would be A, this would be M, this would be B. Just so we have everything, so we understand. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and write this down. So x1 is 2. I don't know what x2 is. That's down here, right? Yeah. And this is y2. Okay, so that's my mystery. So I'll just put an x. We know it's x2, but I'll just put an x divided by 2. What is that going to equal? That's going to equal the midpoint, right? And then y is going to be the same way. 4 plus, I don't know what this y is, divided by 2. That's going to equal whatever the midpoint is. Does that make sense? That's how we got the midpoint, yeah? So now I got to do some algebra. The trick on this, and this is why I go over this the first couple days of school, is we're going to cross multiply. Right? So already we're cross multiplying. That's why we went over it. So nice thing is 1 times that is just okay. So that would be minus 2, x equals 14. And you can't see that, but you can imagine what it would be like if I actually wrote it so you can see that. All right. I'll wedge that there so we can do this. All right. I'll do the same thing here. Cross multiply. Is that right? Feels right. Okay. 0. So that's my missing point. 14, 0. Okay? That's one way to do that. I'll show you the way I prefer to do this. I'm going to take the same points, and I'm just going to write them down. 2, 4, 8, 2, and then I'm going to fill in the bottom one. All right. So I wrote them down. This is what I do. All right. We know that this is a straight line. We know that this forms a linear pattern. Okay. So a linear pattern follows a slope. It has, and I don't know if you remember this term, but it's arithmetic sequence. So it is an easy sequence to do in your head, basically. So like an example of arithmetic sequence would be this. 2, 4, 6. What's next? 10, right? That's an easy arithmetic sequence. This might be harder, but it's still an arithmetic sequence. It's still a slope. It's still linear. So how could I get from 2 to 8? Let's add 6 more and see what we get. Would that be 14? Okay. 4 to 2. What did I do? Let's subtract 2 more. What did we get? Okay, so this is the geometry way where we're looking at the pattern. So we're analyzing the pattern. We know it's a linear pattern, so we can use the pattern to come up with our answer. This is the algebra way where we're not looking at the pattern. We're actually going to work out the formula using algebraic steps. Okay, we're going to do one more both ways again so you're comfortable with it. And then when it gets to your homework, which way do I want you to do it?
Your way.
I don't care. I don't want you to do it my way. I want you to do it your way, the way you understand it. Okay, I'm going to try to teach you multiple ways to do problems. You pick the way that you like it. Okay, you're supposed to develop your own kind of personality mathematically here. And you're trying to figure out which tools work best for you. Okay, and I'm not going to give you a tool that is a trick that just doesn't work. It works on the worksheet, but it won't work in real life. I'm going to try to give you tricks that are legit math that always work. Okay, I'm going to give you some harder points. Let's call this -5. Let's call this 6. Uh-oh. There it is. And I'll give you another point. Let's call this one 8, and let's call this one 7. Okay, and I'm going to do it both ways. And I guess I should say that this is an endpoint, and this is a midpoint, right? Because if I don't know what the points are, I don't know what I'm finding. So I'm trying to find the other endpoint. Okay, let's see if I can do this both ways. -5 plus x divided by 2 equals 8. Okay. 6 plus y divided by 2 equals 7. Okay, it's always going to equal the midpoint, right? Because it's a midpoint formula. That's what it's designed to do. Cross multiply. And again, the algebra way isn't that long. It's more writing for sure. But some of you can just do this in your sleep anyway, so. And if not, by the time you finish Algebra 2, you can. Yeah, what do you need?
You got the first one wrong.
I got the first one wrong. What did I do? Uh-oh. I should have done this, and so it's 21, huh? Kind of glad I showed my work so you can find the error. All right, so I'm going to do it the other way. And again, my personality, I like to do it this way because this way is easier for me to line it up and find the pattern. Okay, if you don't know the pattern, remember, to find the distance between those 2 points, you take the second one, and then you subtract the first one. That's the distance formula, yeah? And so in this case, 8 minus -5 would be 13. So I add 13, I guess, right? So that means I'm going to add 13 again. And I'm going to get 21. This one should be easy. 6 to 7 is just +1. I don't need anything fancy like this. And so this one should be what? 8.
Who was like one day randomly doing math like this and then just randomly thought about that? Just like was randomly like, oh, look at this. That's a good question.
Well, to make a long story short, it's not random. It was, people spent lifetimes. Now, these people are really old, like thousands of years old. People spent lifetimes trying to understand patterns and trying to use those patterns to apply it to other things. And so, I don't know. I don't remember who discovered basically how slope works. But there's a whole paper written in France about how slope works and how that pattern works and how useful that pattern is to apply to other things, especially in construction. Straight lines, kind of important in construction. To us, this is simple. But if you go back 1,000 years, even adding's not simple. There's no calculators. Business was different. This was high-level academia 1,000 years ago, right? To us nowadays, it's just like you're adding a couple numbers together, finding a pattern. Okay, but maybe we're just smarter than people were 1,000 years ago. I don't know. Hard to say. But that's how we're doing this, and we got a short